What's up, guys? It's Ramon from NyneBlockGaming&Collectibles coming at you with another review. Today I have the S.h.figuarts Tanjiro Kamado from Demon Slayer. And as you can see on the outside of the box, we have a clear clamshell package in the front. You have Tanjiro down here. Yep. Name up top. Multiple posed with Nezuko on the back, different facial expressions, holding his sword. Bottom has him swinging his sword, and your typical information you get. So let's crack this guy open and I'll be right back. So here's Tanjiro outside of the packaging. You can see the base faceplate and hair look identical to the anime. It is a great sculpt. I think the only thing that I would want figure-wise is cloth for Tanjiro's clothing, but the amount of articulation this gets in it, it'll work. I mean, the articulable pieces on here are absolutely insane, but they could have just easily went with cloth and it would have solved having to do this stuff. But you can get very good poses out of this for plastic. I was very surprised turning the sky around and seeing what it was, because I saw it was plastic in the promo images, but it is great for plastic. Cloth, my opinion, better. If you're a no-cloth person, this is up your alley. This is how they should do it. I love cloth for stuff like this, just so it doesn't have the unsightly lines or gaps that it can create. One other thing I want to mention is they're using a much thicker plastic. This is a cheaper figure. I think only like $35. You can get it on Premium Bandai. But it's a thicker plastic to protect the paint. This was underneath his skirt. Now let's quickly look at his accessories. We have his Demon Slayer sword here. And the sheath, and by the looks of it, it does not plug in. You get the hilt. This is a disappointing thing. I personally hate when they do this, but the hilt plugs in to the sheath there, and that's how you would display it with the hilt. But I mean, I think you're going to have the hilt on Tanjiro all the time. On the additional face plates, we have smiling. There is no articulation on the earrings he wears. Here they're flailed out. He's an angry face. Here they're flailed out and yelling, so his mouth's actually open. And here is the hilt he receives on the Mugen Train arc. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't watched it. And I'm gonna put this here. I just finished the 4 seasons. I think there's a movie that's out that I have not watched. Not sure if it's English dubbed yet. But guys, if you have not watched Demon Slayer, absolutely must watch anime. It is the best paced anime I have ever watched in my life. I think that is because you don't have 20 filler episodes a season. I think the Mugen Train is only like 7 or 8 episodes. But I think the pace, it was made because all of them were movies in Japan and then treated as a show and released as individual episodes in America, and then on other things like Crunchyroll as well in Japanese, but it is just a phenomenal show and great pace for an anime. Here we have his fingers sprawled out slightly. Here it's just like a open palm, like hands laying down at his side. You get one of each side with those. And now we have our sword gripping hands. So now, let's go over articulation. Head bends down that far, up that far. You get good side to side out of it. It's on a double peg. His neck and head both are on a ball peg, so both things move. If you can see that. The head will rotate. Now, I think the problem is going to be is getting this back where it needs to be. Normally an issue. It didn't seem to be much of an issue there. It went right in the center. But normally when you try like freely rotating 360, which you can get out of it, you'll kind of move that to a point where it's hard because you can't grip it to move it back. Arms have the craziest articulation I've ever saw. They go straight up in the air. So like way past the T-pose, and that is just from the articulation because it's this type of ball peg here. Same thing for the wrist, just a huge one. And then like this sheath like slightly covers it. That is a very cool way of articulating there. So it doesn't have a typical butterfly joint, but that is on a peg as well that moves around in there. So you get, you know, this doesn't go, oh, it does, freely 360. Bicep swivel, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go over this a little longer than I typically do because this is articulation points that I am just not familiar with. I think, so this whole thing right here, which would be his elbow, is another ball joint. So I'm assuming we got, yep, right here, we got articulation as well. This is different for Bandai. And then your typical Bandai wrist. But even in here, inside, you get articulation. Crazy amount of articulation. So, you know, if you have the hands out to the side, look how far forward he can get them. Just great articulation there. You can see you can get some unsightly gaps. This is just not a typical S.h.figuart design. There's like a cover here in the abdomen that enables that to be covered up. So he can bend forward that far, back incredibly far as well, but you get this. So I don't know that you want to do that. Not the way Tanjiro Kamado wants to articulate. And it's like a drop-down peg system. So let's see if I can take him back. Nope. Can't take him back and move that. So you do get some side-to-side out of it as well. It rotates extremely well. And then other points of articulation are back here. 3 of these on ball pegs that you can see in there. So standard Tamashi ball peg. And then for the legs, it'll kick out slightly above 90. Back just about to 90. Bicep swivel out to the side, right about 90. And then we have a new joint system, again, that has some very unsightly gaps in it. But for the most part, those are going to be blocked by his shirt. But that's a new single jointed leg, but it gets the articulation out that you would get from a double joint. I don't know that I like all of these changes because these gaps just look bad. The articulation's great, but gaps don't look great. See, I saw there was a cut here, so this articulates as well. And then ankle freely rotates. It isn't a ball. It's like a cylinder type peg. You can see flat side here. So you got a toe hinge that is reminiscent of all the rest of the hinges on this guy. And then you do get side to side, even though it's a cylinder peg. And he can just go in some great poses. Let's get him with his sword. I wish it came with like a fire effect or a water effect. But you can see you get some great articulation out of Tanjiro, and he can stand very easily when articulated like that because of all these flex points. But again, I think it's a little unsightly, these gaps. And then one other thing to quickly show. This actually plugs in right here. So then you have his hilt. Just a great posable Demon Slayer figure. I know, like I said, I only recently started watching Demon Slayer. I wish I would have started before, because I never expected the enjoyment I got out of this series. If you guys have not watched it, watch it. It is excellent. Absolutely excellent. But I wish I would have got it into it sooner for things like Figma. And there was another line, I cannot think of the name of it to save my life right now, that released all of these guys with cloth accessories. I don't know if it was a 1/12 scale. I think it was. But maybe I'll pick some of those up and do some comparisons. But regardless, even with these gaps we get, the articulation on this guy is insane. And again, the head sculpt, it just is perfect. The rest of the body, I don't think it is, but it does look good. It's not like he's a bad looking figure. You just get stuff like this that you have to close up. And that's my only gripe with that. Rating wise, this guy, I mean, visually, I think I give it a 7. Everything else is at least a 9.5. I'm going to go with overall score 8.5 because of the 7 for visual, only because of the gaps. The paint breaks up, the lines don't look right, and there is a lot of gaps. Articulation is a 10. Because he articulates incredibly well, and even with single joint knees, there isn't any more you're going to want out of a figure, especially with how baggy the clothing is at his knee. For him to be able to go all the way up against like that is insane. So it's a new style of articulation from Bandai. I'm excited to see how they can upgrade this in the future. I just recently saw the Goku and Vegeta they're releasing. I think they look terrible in comparison to what we got before. But once I get them in hands, I may change my my point with that. And I recently saw a picture of them posed at the New York Comic Con, maybe, or another place such as that at a toy expo, and they didn't look bad once they were posed. But that's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please give a thumbs up. If you enjoy viewing my channel and continuously watch content, subscribe and then hit that notification bell so you can be notified as I release. I hope to see you guys in the next one. We have Nezuko and Giyu Tomioka coming up. And Nezuko's a Kamado as well. It's Tanjiro's sister here, if you were unaware. I might do a little character explanation on that without spoiling too much. But that's it, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.
I'm up on the 9 block where the gamers flock. Action figures and collectibles, we're the top stock. Marvel, DC, but DBZ is the main squeeze. Magic the Gathering, bringing you the ease. Card packs opening, reviews so tight. D9 Dice Gaming under the bright light. 9 block, the channel you gotta see. Gaming and collectibles, we're the key. So hit that subscribe, join the crew. 9 block gaming, we're coming through. Action figures, card games, we do it all on 9 block channel. We stand tall.